The chocolate city is now a place of many flavors. The thriving economy and changing landscape has attracted a mass of newcomers to live, work, and of course play. But what impact has all this had on native Washingtonians and long-term residents? And is DC millennial friendly? All that and more on today's show. This is what I wish you knew about gentrification. Hey y'all, I am Brittany Timmons and welcome to I Wish You Knew. I'm sure you've noticed those condos going up in every other neighborhood, or that small business you love is closing up shop. What about the city parks that's turned into a parking lot? And your neighbors have suddenly moved. It's called gentrification, defined in the dictionary as a process of urban renewal accompanied by the influx of middle-class residents. But is this a bad thing? And what message does it send to DC residents? Here to tell you what they wish you knew are...
Wish poppin'. I'm waiting to Hi, I'm Helen.
Hey guys, I'm Byron.
Okay, y'all. So what changes have you noticed about DC?
I think for me, the main notice that I've seen is construction everywhere. It seems like, you go outside and it's like, what's going on? Like, what are they changing everything for? Why is this no longer here? And why is this being moved here? Why does this look so nice all of a sudden? So that's the first change. And then the second change is how often the schools are being redone. Like, I know my alma mater, Rose, the Rough Riders, and that school is being done over, and I was like, well, they started it back when I was there, but of course now it's like it has to be done for whatever reason. So those are like some of the main things I see.
What about you, Byron?
Been here for 22 years, born and raised. Come on now, street life. I mean, I've noticed everything is so different. Prime example, H Street. I went to school in Phelps, right off H Street. Going up and down there for 4 years, it's like they tore one thing down and erecting something else, tore one thing down, building something back else up again. So, I mean, while I was in school, we kind of got to look at what's to come, but I never thought it would happen this fast. And while I was in school, they started the trolleys and didn't finish until, I want to say last year.
Don't even get started
so
on
the trolleys,
Oh,
it just caused more and more traffic for everybody. It was just more problems. But I mean, everything has changed. The city is not like it used to be.
So Helen, I'm aware that you kind of recently, but not recently, moved into DC. So what have you noticed since you've been here?
Well, I'm from Virginia, so
Okay. Cool.
I mean, yeah, I don't know anything. I have so many questions.
You do?
Yeah, all I know is that like when we were little, we used to go to Chinatown, and then the Verizon Center came in, and then all the like local businesses that were actually like Chinese owned got shut. Like they were run out of business because they couldn't afford rent anymore. But that's like way long ago, maybe 20 years ago. So kind of an old story.
But
still
you
kind of
still
sad.
kind of see.
You see the things happening.
Things that happen when gentrification
There
takes
was an
place.
MCI Center, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I still call it the Verizon Center. I still call it the Verizon Center.
When I was growing
MCI
up,
Center.
it was the MCI, and we're going to see the Ice Capades. Now it's the Verizon Center and all these other.
sure.
I would say the change that I've noticed, when I see change and like it's construction, no matter what street you're on or what part of the city you're in, it's something being redone or being added. And my question to myself is always, why? Because sometimes I don't look at it and think like, oh, this is going to be nice here. Oh yeah, My first thought is, that's neat, but is it for me? Is it what's the benefit of it for?
And why did it take so long for this to be redone?
I can shed a little bit of light on there because, as you guys know, I went to school for architecture and things like that. And in city developing and moving forward in the future, cities are always looking for bigger and better ways to accommodate more and more people. And with the advancement in technology and jobs and everything, most of that is funneled into DC. So where are they going to put all those people when they move here? They got to build something. So in city planning and architecture, construction, all of that, it was just planned out. Like, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. You got to tear stuff down to build stuff up. So like I keep talking about H Street because that is the biggest change I have seen. Like, in the small amount of time, it's like at first there was a DMV down there and a Murray's down there that my grandmother used to go to, and there was like an empty parking lot or like a lot with.
That's where the summer DOES job thing used to be held.
That's where we used to have to line up and get the job. But now that's like condos as condos, and it's a whole bunch of other stuff, and that's just to accommodate all of these new people who are getting these jobs and things like that. So,
but I will say some of it is nice. I don't always turn my nose down to some of it because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be nice. Like 8th Street being redone, that's one of my little spots that I like to go to.
Now.
It's out. I've said this before, but DC is coming a baby New York. Everything is building up now. They want to see taller buildings, and this has to be this way. Restaurants and businesses are grouping into one nice area, but again, that question still boggles in my head is it for everybody? Is it for everything? So you were saying, Helen, you had some questions that you wondered about DC. Can you share a question with us? Do you have any thoughts?
I'd be happy to answer.
I mean, I was just wondering, like, what you think about, like, there's so many people that are coming here just because it's, like, the government and, like, especially, like, this current government and just, like, how do you feel about it? Because, like, I remember during the election, DC did not vote for, like, the people who are going to be coming in here.
Right.
Like,
that's very true. I think, and it's interesting to me that, because I think when people think of DC, they don't realize that people are actually from here. People think people just gravitate here, but no, like, people are born and raised, molded, shaped, everything.
Let's get it.
You know. So I think that's hilarious to me that not usually, but sometimes a lot of the people that are in bigger places in politics don't always reflect that here in DC. And I think the change that happens, it's like, it's a gift and a curse. You see the positive in it, but it makes you feel like, well, dang, did this person have to be here for that to happen?
Exactly.
And why didn't we get it, you know? So,
okay, so y'all, we're gonna get back into this. We have to take a break, but first, it's trivia time. How large is Washington, D.C. in square miles? The answer coming up soon. What's y'all guess? Y'all have a guess?
16 pounds.
Like, you are stern to this 16. Welcome back to I Wish You Knew. So Helen, before we took a break, you were saying it's been some changes done to change Chinatown. What are your thoughts?
Oh,
and how do you feel about that?
It's sad because it's like the death of a culture. So I mean, like I said, we went to Chinatown when I was little, like 5. So I don't actually remember when it was Chinatown. And like the thing that I kind of see now is that there are businesses going in that are like trying to be as like Asian, and they're trying to get on like the Oriental wave or whatever, but it doesn't have any actual roots to like Chinese people, or like it doesn't have roots to DC either. It's just kind of these buildings. Yeah, they're like trying to profit off of like the stereotype of what Asia's like, but it doesn't actually have any roots to like actual Asian things. Although I don't know the business owners. That's just, it's not the Chinatown that I grew up in.
And that's how that's how we feel about DC. It's not the DC that we remember.
Exactly.
And it's like I'm glad to see DC doing better and bigger, but it's still like,
yes.
I would be way more excited if the change was if it felt more inclusive. I feel like the change happens because certain class or certain people are moving in, and I feel like now it's like, oh, let's change it up, let's do it this way. But like, I want everybody to be included so that we can all indulge in it together.
Okay, that's good. So how do you feel millennials fit into the ever-changing DC?
I think millennials fit in because DC is always changing. So that's something that we're with. Like, we don't stick with anything too long. We're on waves. So once it goes out, we done.
And I think it fits for us too, like how we was mentioning 8th Street. Us being the age we are now, and we're able to do things, and we like to go to work and probably chill somewhere after. I think we are what makes DC work. You know, I don't think 8th Street would be what it is if we didn't go there to hang out. U Street wouldn't be what it is if we didn't bring our business and our company there. But I think we make DC move the way that it is moving.
And that's one thing I do love about DC is the pace. I feel like always it's been a place that the pace is like, it's not too slow, but it's not too fast. And you kind of just got to jump on, catch keep moving with it, because ultimately with gentrification, I mean, it's going to happen. There's nothing we can do about that. But the culture here, I think it's still rich. It's still present. Like in U Street, when you go into the alleys and the back ways, like by Ben's Chili Bowl and things like that, and you look at the street art and things that are on the wall, it's a representation of who millennials are. So I do think it's important for, you know, us to feel like we fit in here. And I think millennials can get it popping in DC, because it's like DC ain't the place that's gonna hold you and hug you.
Not at all.
We gonna teach you the hard way.
And you gotta either get back up and get with it, or you gotta get lost. I think it's like how you said, DC is fast paced and it's moving, and I think that's where we are in our lives. We're moving. We're trying to figure out what's going to be our career, what job we want to be in, what are we going to do next? Are we going to stay here for this time, or are we just going to stay here to get our money right, and then we want to move to this location? So I feel like we accept change. So therefore, the change that's happening in DC makes us okay with it, but it's still some things we like, oh man.
And also, the changes, it was going to happen, because if you're honest with yourself, because of how DC looked when we grew up and how the culture was, all of our friends, we thought we wanted to get older, get a job, and move, because it was not as beautiful of a city as it is now. We wanted to get away. So that starts it. But then it's weird, because once we move away, it all of a sudden turns into this amazing place.
That's good. That's a good point.
I think it's interesting, because we were like, oh, we moving to Maryland. We about to go to VA.
We felt like we had to get away.
Think about it. When you went to the mall, we went to I mean, we hung out Union Station, things like that, but you went to the mall, you went to Pentagon City, you wanted to go to Tyson's, like you was balling when you went to other places.
You wanted to get out and go to another. Helen, you was about to say something.
I was just gonna say, I don't think the gentrification is like inevitable, because like I'm from Virginia, we've preserved white culture, so like that's what it is. We preserve white culture so well. We have like Civil War memorials everywhere. We have like Battle of Bull Run or whatever, which is a national park. Like, it's so easy to preserve parts of culture. It's just about where people's priorities are. Like, if people really wanted to, they could have preserved Chinatown. They could have like put up a fight and be like, even though this is losing money, it's part of our culture and it's so worth it to keep this store open. Like, if you really wanted to like have that battle there, we could have done it. So
I just think history repeats itself with that. I don't think sometimes we feel we had, not just saying we were minorities in general, we don't always feel like we have that voice or the power to do that. Once we see dollars and stuff, it's kind of like, oh, move. Because for example, my grandmother lived in Adams Morgan for all of my life, and recently she moved, and then I noticed like on the block, like the block was, everybody kind of knew each other. It was family oriented, everything. And then over the years, like now, it's just it's a different place. And then when she moved, I was kind of like, wow, like it's really changing. Then when I went back there, like let's say a month later, the house looked totally different. Let's not even talk about the price that it was. And it blew my mind to see something like it's a pillar for me, because it's something that I grew up in. Like now it's different. The vibe is different. So I don't think we always know that we can do that. So that's
some good stuff. This is some good topics. But more on gentrification when we return. Be sure to tell us what you think by using the hashtag IWYK. How important is it to you to preserve? We as a people had something to do with that, because So how important is it to you all to see DC try to preserve some of the culture that it has, such as Chinatown, such as things that we like you said, the murals that's painted on Ben's Chili Bowl, because y'all know they're redoing it, or they covered it up, and they're supposed to be doing something different. So how important is that for us to have our cultures preserved?
I think it's very important. The side about millennials that always boggles and messes with my mind is that we have so much to say, but when it's time or when it's inevitable to say it, we don't say it. So preserving culture is really important. For instance, the Ben Chili Bowl, they've they painted the wall all over, and they're letting people vote about what they want. I'm hoping that millennials will, actually vote about who they want to see up on the wall. Not that it's so important, but it kind of is.
It is important.
Instead of waiting till the people are up on the wall and then complaining about it.
They shouldn't
So
have put
preserving
that up
culture,
there.
I think it's important because we have a say. It shows, because DC is so rich in culture. Like, outside of all the many other things, it's also like a Black Mecca because of Howard University and the rich history that's there. And then U Street, they have the U.S. African American Civil War Museum, where a lot of people don't know about it, but it's like, it's popping. Like, there's so much culture there and so many things to learn. So preserving culture is important because people don't know DC when they come here. They think it's all white collar and business and government, but it's so much more to it that I think is fun and interesting.
I could just piggyback off. I mean, it's so important because when I talk to people in my lift, they're from like Nebraska or like Cali or Texas even, they come to DC. I'm like, oh, I thought it was just like the president here, but I heard it's so many other things to do here. I'm like, yeah, come to South here. I say it jokingly. Yeah, but it's like, wait. Depends on where you go. I tell them like it's so much more than just the National Mall. Like that's what you see on TV. That's what you see in media everywhere. It's just the National Mall. But it's like all this like rich, diverse culture in Southeast and Northeast and Southwest, Northwest, and it's
Mount
just
Pleasant, like
exactly.
And it's not, like I said, it's not just Black cultures. Latinos.
It's a mix.
It's a mix of minorities and everybody.
Congress Heights.
Yeah, like Mount Pleasant, Congress Heights, that area where like you could get the best authentic foods from different, and then like I said, one day I went there and I seen a new Filipino restaurant, and I think that was cool because it's like, it just shows like how we are hungry for other things, not just the norm or what has always been.
So with all this being said, is gentrification a good thing or a bad thing? Or what's your, because I feel like sometimes gentrification, it is good. We do see some good in it. And I also feel like we do see some bad in it. That's my take on it. I still have my things that I put my nose up to or I scratch my neck to. But in some lights I see, well, that's a nice touch. That's needed in this area. What you gonna say, Helen?
Oh, it depends entirely on your definition of it, which is like a total cop-out. But some people think gentrification, like running people who have lived here for ages out of where they've lived, is like a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah, that's
having money come in, like that doesn't necessarily, those two things don't have to come in hand. Like, you should be giving money to like people who've lived here for a while.
I agree.
And like, I don't know if that's part of the definition of gentrification.
Yeah,
it is.
I think gentrification, like you said, if we're being honest, kitchen table talk, no, we don't think it's a good thing because, like I said, I think it's something that I wish everyone could partake in, everyone could indulge in, because when something beautiful happens to a city and the people who have been here for 20 years are now moving out because they can't necessarily afford it, that's a problem, for me. I don't, Would you say DC is a place that you can raise your family and become financially stable and things of that sort? Does it give that opportunities for millennials? I think it does give that opportunity for millennials. You gotta be with the hustle and the bustle, though, because, it's some dollars to be made.
Exactly.
You feel me? You can start an amazing budding career here in many different avenues, not just government. And I think if you work really hard and your reputation is everything, and this city is small, if you build that, I think it's possible. It's not for everybody because it's not just so traditional in one way. So I think that's a piece, but millennials, I think, can thrive here. I think you can build a family in DC because, like I said, it's a good balance. It's not too fast. Like, if you go all the way up in Northwest, you will think you're somewhere else because it's calm. It's like, it's really homey. And
DC has mansions.
Yeah, it's really nice.
They do.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere. I'm not just saying Northwest, but like, I just use that as an example, But I think it's, now, for everybody, maybe not a family, because it is super expensive. Like I said, I stay in a 3-bedroom home for $1.5 million. I've come to find that a lot of people that I know, young millennials that's trying to get themselves together, they normally do have to move out to Maryland to get an apartment for a little
a little more comfort than DC has to offer. I don't think you can find an apartment or something like that in your price range when you're trying to just stack your money and get yourself together.
It depends though, because a lot of us, we don't do our heavy research, because let me tell you, there's a lot of these buildings, when they go up, they do certain tax things and that they're required to do because of things like gentrification, where they have to have a certain amount of units just set aside for people who are in a certain tax bracket who don't make as much or market rate.
And Member Housing is making it very
much
dominant, to make affordable housing a thing for people in the city. So that's shout outs to her.
Yeah. I see.
So what have you experienced, Byron, being that you are raising a family?
I'm a dad. Well, kind of a sidebar, going back to that gentrification piece. What we have to realize is, well, my understanding of gentrification, it's a vehicle for progress, and unfortunately, one of those products is displacement. Is pushing a bunch of people out. But gentrification, it's a horrible word, but out of that comes so much more. And I mean, we can hold on to the memories and we can hold on to everything that we held dear. But I mean, it's a business. It has to keep moving. So raising my daughter here, I mean, I want to raise her in the DMV. I want her to get the whole experience of the DMV. But I mean, my parents will probably never move, so I'll probably just take over that house and
house.
Exactly. So I mean, as long as you have like family here, like unfortunately, if you don't have anybody here, it's kind of hard to kind of get in with us. But if you're like from here, you got family here who has not moved yet, you should be good, because hopefully their mortgage didn't go sky high. But yeah, I want to raise her in DC.
This is a nice place to wrap. That's all the time we have time for this edition of I Wish You Knew. But before we go, panel, the answer to our trivia question is
68.1.
That point one, it matters.
Ding, ding, ding. That's right. DC is 68 square miles. Y'all was pretty close. Y'all was in the 60s and things like that. So I give you that.
Google.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on I Wish You Knew.
That point one is important. That point one is
But you
point one.
said you Googled it.
I Googled it like last week, because I thought it was like 30 miles.